Hey guys, welcome back to another One Piece review. This one's going to be chapter 952, Hiyori and Kawamatsu. So we begin this chapter continuing on with the cover story of Lola and Beiji, and he says that my wife's wish is my wish. So it looks like that Lola and the rest of the Fire Tank Pirates are going to be heading on their way to meet... Chiffon is going to go meet Lola. We start the chapter with Zoro fighting Gyukimaru back on the bridge to get Shusui back. It looks like Zoro has kind of bested him at the moment, so he's kind of pressing him, give me back my blade. Why do you even have all these weapons? Whose side are you on? This country's in shambles and you're stockpiling all these weapons. What is your purpose other than just jumping these random people on the bridge? Zoro's really confused. He just really wants Shusui back so that he can get back to full power. And then Gyukimaru just says, I absolutely refuse. Shusui, whenever that was stolen from our land, if you remember, it was grave robbed from Ryuma's grave, so it's kind of a pressy issue because Ryuma was their national hero. He slayed a dragon and saved them from all of this oppression. We know that Gecko Moria stole Shusui whenever he stole Ryuma's corpse to reanimate it for his zombie army, but Ginkyumaru says that whenever Shusui was stolen, that's really the beginning of the downfall for the country. All of the samurai and all of the different regions just kept losing battles, like one after another after that. So he kind of marked that as really the beginning of the end. So he refuses to yield and give Shusui back. But then we see somebody calling out to them, telling them to stop fighting. And we see that it is... Kawamatsu. He's come and run and found them. He goes to slash at Zoro, but Zoro blocks it from behind, and Kawamatsu says that he doesn't understand why a samurai and a monk are fighting on a bridge in the middle of nowhere, and he can plainly see that neither Zoro nor Ginkyumaru want to kill the other, and he just sees this as kind of like a dull battle. Like, if you aren't going to fight for your life, then what's the point of you even fighting? And then, of course, Hiyori sees Kawamatsu, and she is extremely ecstatic, as we would expect, because Kawamatsu is kind of her protector, and one of the main reasons that she survived this long, at least until she ran away, as we see that she has said that she is done later on in the chapter. We cut back to Onegaishima, and we see that Kaido and Big Mom are still clashing. We see all of the beast pirates are kind of freaking out because all of this complete chaos is going on whenever they're clashing, because the strength of two Yonko clashing is enough to separate the skies, and they just keep clashing together, so they're going to wreak havoc on everything that's around them. They all say that we should get out of here quickly, because if they keep fighting like this, then the very ground that we're walking on is going to be destroyed. And Queen kind of just is like, shut up, you guys. You kind of need to stay, and how dare you think that you can leave in the midst of a battle of our captain Kaido. And then he's like, but more importantly, how are things still going at the Udon prison? And he's walking away casually, and all of the beast pirates kind of call him out. He's like, you're just trying to get away from here like everybody else. We see him calling on a Denden Mushi to see how everything is going at the Udon prison, and the chief jailer Babanuki picks up saying, everything is fine, we've recaptured Luffy and everybody, Captain Kidd, they're all captured and back in their cells. They tried to escape, but it didn't work. We got them and held them back in their cells. So Queen is just like, oh, well, that's good news, but are you sure you don't need my help? I can come over and send everybody over. And all the beast pirates are like, he's still casually trying to get out of this. You're not that sneaky, Queen. Everybody's catching on to you. And then we cut back to the Udon prison, where we see that Otama has tamed Babanuki with her devil fruit ability. She can pull the dango off of her cheek and kind of tame wild animals. Apparently it's shown here that she can tame smile users as well, because they're not regular devil fruit users, except it is kind of implied that she might be able to even control zone devil fruit users. I don't think that'll be the case, because if that's the case, then in the final battle, she could just give Kaido a dango and make Kaido her slave, and I just don't see that as being a possibility. I think that Oda is smarter than that. I don't think that he would write himself into a corner like that, because if they defeat Kaido without that happening, everybody'd be like, well, they could have just easily beaten him much easier that way. So I don't think that's the case. I think it might just be not Smile, but artificial zone users, because they still have the essence of a animal inside them. So I think that's how we did see that earlier when she tamed Speed, the horse. So I think that it's just going to remain the artificial zone users. And we see Carbo there is kind of, he's like, oh, I'm the main reason that this all worked out, because he was able to sneak Raizo and a bunch of people inside with his mud or swamp fruit ability, keeping everybody inside of him. So he's like, Raizo's like, oh, you did a good job, Caribou. This is all because of you. And Caribou's like, yeah, you're right. You're all going to owe me one later. So I don't know how that's going to end up. I think that he's obviously going to be a part of them in the final battle. I'm not sure if what he'll do after they leave, if they're going to befriend him or not. He was kind of a real nasty guy back in Fishman Island, so we'll see what happens. And then all the prisoners of the Udon prison that were shot with the excitement bullets and were turning into mummies, they all thank Chopper for saving them and healing them from their virus. And Chopper's just like, oh no, it was really easy. It was a simple virus. He's a master doctor. He's just really happy that Luffy's back on his feet, and we see Luffy kind of screaming. It's like, yeah, rallying everybody, which is kind of interesting to see, Luffy being a leader again. We really don't ever see that until recently. He's kind of developed this leadership role, so I think that he's kind of gonna stick with that and stride with that, because we're getting close to the end game now. He's gonna have to start acting like the king of the pirates, so I think that's probably the course of action that we're gonna get here from quite a while on now. And then we see Hyogoro look over, and he sees all of the other bosses of the Yakuza that were obviously trapped in the Udon prison. They rescued them, and they come up and they talk to Hyogoro. They're like, oh, I can't believe that you're still alive. We didn't think that you were still alive. And they're all some pretty funny looking characters, just like how Oda likes to have some pretty unique characters thrown in there. They all look pretty interesting, but Hyogoro basically just says he's glad that they're all safe, and they all respond with their own quirky way. Some of them, rejecting praise, and some of them totally accepting it and flourishing in it. So I think we're going to get some pretty interesting interactions here. We're getting a lot of characters. There's so many characters that are going to have to be thrown together into this fight. This is going to be a huge battle. When Oda said that he was going to make Marineford look like a picnic, he wasn't joking. There is a lot of characters getting thrown in here, and it's size enough to be pretty massive, so I'm getting pretty excited about it. And then we see Luffy's like, oh wow, these guys are great, you got a whole bunch of wacky characters here, don't you, Gramps? And all of the Yakuza leaders turn around and they're like, Gramps, and they threaten Luffy. They grab him and they're like threatening him, like, how dare you say that to Hyogoro, you rotten brat, we'll teach you a lesson. And then Hyogoro's basically just like, you leave him alone, he saved my life. So they're like, oh, you just made it by on your life this time, kid, but you better watch your mouth. And they leave, and Luffy's like I care what you people think. And then we see, we cut back to the port where Kinemon and Inuarashi and Ashura Doji were with the destroyed ships. We cut back to there, and we see that Kinemon found the blueprints to the Onegaishima, where all of Kaido's castle. We find out that Ashura Doji, or Shutenmaru, is the one that captured the plans. So Kinemon kind of praises him. It's like, wow, you really got to work. And kind of funny, you think back on it. Frankie was running around all over the place trying to find these blueprints, but it ended up that they were in Allied hands, as it already was. So it's kind of humorous thinking about back then. But then we see Raizo get in contact with Kinemon through Denden Mushi, and they're talking, and Raizo basically informs Kinemon of everything that happened, saving Luffy out of the prison, rebelling with all of the guards, and gaining 3,500 men to their employ to fight Kaido, all of the samurai. And Kinemon's kind of freaking out. He's like, how did this happen? All you did was to go and try and rescue Luffy from the prison, and all of this accumulated at once. And Ashura Doji and Inuarashi are both kind of like surprised at this fact too. They're like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. But then we see Raizo say that, yes, we did manage to garner a bunch of allies, and we have a base of operations in the Udon prison mines right now. But unfortunately, all of the weapon manufacturers that Kaido has are all for export weapons. So things like guns and other cannons, probably things like that. But the people of Wano, they're all samurai, so they want to fight with, swords and spears and things. So it's going to be hard to find weapons that samurai want to use. So Kinemon says, that is a problem. Oh, swords, eh? So I think he's cooking something up. He says he's going to go back to Amagasa village and kind of make a base of operations there. He said that he has a lot to tell Raizo as well, but he's not going to do it right now because he has a lot to say too. He also got a lot of allies with Ashura Doji's bandits crew and everything. And of course, the broken ships that Frankie needs to repair at the port there. So I'm not sure why he's not telling Raizo all of this right now. It seems that it would be easy enough, but oh well. And finally, we cut back to the Ringo Bandit Bridge, where Ginkyu Maru and Zoro and Kawamatsu were clashing earlier. We see Hiyori kind of collapsing into Kawamatsu's arms, crying and everything, saying that she was so scared and I can't believe that you were gone. I'm sorry that I ran away. And Zoro is just like, oh yeah, I guess she did say that she was raised by a Kappa after all of her friends and family were transported 20 years into the future. But unfortunately, it looks like this happy reunion is cut short by a bunch of beast pirate bandits. They show up, and I guess they have a beef with Ginkyu Maru. They say, you stole all of our weapons from us, and we've come to reclaim it. And Kawamatsu tells Hiyori to run away and hide again. They see Zoro and Kawamatsu, and they're like, oh, are you friends of that bandit that stole all of our weapons? Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. We're going to blast you up anyway. And then we just see, Kawamatsu and Zoro kind of easily slice down all of these beast pirate bandits. They're riding those lizard things that they had way back in the very beginning of the arc. Ginkyu Maru starts running away again, it looks like. And Zoro's kind of like pissed off. He's like, where are you going? You need to give me back my sword already. And the last panel is Ginkyu Maru crying, and he says, Lord Kawamatsu, I'm so glad that you're still alive. I'm glad that you're okay. So I'm wondering what kind of relationship they might have. They're really not... Ginkyu Maru hasn't really been touched on before by any of the Nine Red Scabbards. So I'm thinking that maybe whenever all of them were pushed back into the future 20 years, that while Kawamatsu was raising Hiyori, and after everything happened, the 20 years that he had living there, he might have took Ginkyu Maru on as a subordinate and trained him up or something. Perhaps he's collecting these weapons so that he can give them to all of the samurai that are going to fight during the final raid, the final Fire Festival raid on Onegaishima. I think that might be what's kind of shaken out here, because we see that he really has like a boatload of weapons just strapped to him on his back and everything. So I think that since it was brought up earlier in the chapter, Raizo saying that they are in desperate need of some sword weapons and spear weapons, I think that Ginkyu Maru is going to be one of the main suppliers of that. So anyway, guys, I think it was a pretty good chapter. I think we're nearing the end of Act 2 of Wano arc. Things are kind of shaping up to kind of set in motion the big climax battle. So I think that 1 or 2, maybe 3 chapters more will be the end of the second act of the Wano arc. But I really dug this one. I'm interested to see Ginkyu Maru's relationship to Kawamatsu and everything. I want to see what Kinemon's cooking up with supplying samurais with the weapons and heading back to Amagasa village, and just seeing how everything... Maybe he's going to go talk to Tengu, because Tengu is in... Tengu Yama is based in Amagasa village, so maybe Kinemon's going to talk to him as kind of a blacksmith to supply more samurai weapons. But yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. I know it's a bit of a late review to be published right now. There was a pretty long wait for the chapter to be released today, so I know it's pretty late. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.